Hi, you guys. It's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? I today just want to talk or share what's coming through for me. Yesterday was a pretty, sort of a radically different day energetically for me. Woo! Clear vibrations! um, yeah, like it was a completely different reality. Um there was an intuitively guided connection, which is which is potentially evolved from something that's aligned with stuff we talk about as far as land manifestation, um gatherings, all of that kind of stuff. Hey, Charlene. And so, and then of course, that's all aligned with the fact that we are very much approaching now seeing our manifestations. Hi, Sarah. How are you? So, I'm very aware of grounding right now and like anchoring in and staying really present. Feels like the dip we've just been through. So these last few months of really having to review stuff, having to keep clearing stuff, and not to say we're suddenly going to pop out and never have to have any emotions or have any deep clearings or deep ebbs and flows, but now we're really rising up. We're it's like we're finally getting the energies of rising like the phoenix. So there's a sudden turn, like we have a bit more motivation. We might be very inspired and or feeling supported to make some of the changes that we've maybe known internally or just for a while that we need to make. That there might be some habits that we want to change. There might be um, some people we want to move towards, some people we want to move away from. Oh, and then that's interesting as well, because that's a piece about, especially as we approach the new moon energy, we are definitely going to experience great illuminations in our lives. And this can relate to our ability to embrace or let go of certain things because we're much more aligned, we're much more in tune, we're much more connected to the heart. And so our ability to discern those resonant connections versus our past patterning of either victimhood or people pleasing or savior mentality. I watched a really cool Teal Swan video many months ago about our kind of three shadow aspects in relationship, from woundedness and or separation, is that we're almost all at different stages and different times in our lives and in different relationship dynamics acting out these three different, I guess, archetypes, but they're kind of shadow archetypes, which is the villain, the victim, and the savior. And when I watched the video, I was like, yeah. Yep. Like in different relationships over time, I have played out those different um those different characters or whatever. And interestingly as well, that I would often go into these people pleasing relationships as the savior, not realizing that being such a good girl just felt so good for my little ego. But that would then eventually, as I was doing more of the inner work and then realizing that I was in these really rather toxic, subtly abusive emotional patterns, but let's face it, emotional abuse is subtle. um I then became the villain. So to break free, to the victim that I was, you know, trying to please and make feel so good, as the savior, I was never going to be able to do that, right? Because they weren't necessarily, well, they weren't I was, it was under overlay. That's another one of her shares, is this idea of the overlay, which I totally get as well. And overlay is just an idea of that we're acting out unconsciously. We're not aware, and so we're having to act it out, and then suddenly we go, Matt, it's not at all what I thought it was. Which is kind of like all spiritual awakening. Veils get lifted, and you're like, what the fuck? What's going on? So yeah, you often go in as one person, and then you become the other polarity, and which is often, I guess just maybe par for the course as far as becoming more aware of these weird codependent patterns that we do, where we feed people's victimhood potentially, and that ultimately is us being in denial of our own disempowerment, which means there's some blockages going on, and or more than anything, blocks to me are just emotions that we're not aware of and or addressing. And I gotta say, as far as all these like alignments go and these new open doors or opening doors, it's I oh man. So when it comes to love attachment manifestation, I swear to God, the whole letting go piece. I know we can talk about these things round and round and round we go, but it's not for me personally. I'm somebody who like it's only when I have the direct experience that it suddenly goes boom, like it really anchors in, it integrates, or I use the language, it crystallizes. So in the final couple of steps in the Fearless Life Guide, it's in living imagination. So this is when we've pretty much like integrated and or fundamentally shifted the patterning of people pleasing or self-denial or denying the whatever, right? And then consciously move into facing ourselves, facing the totality of our beingness by owning and transforming all of our emotional triggers, responses, reactions to the external reality. And the deeper we go, the more we uproot all of those like those imprinted low level patterning. Every time we get impacted by it, we face it and move through it. And then one of you just affirmed the fact that like you're having this experience of just moving through stuff way quicker. And that is also an aspect of as these soul groups continue to come together, our ability to shift stuff is happening more quickly. And so accelerated manifestation, it's not even necessarily like accelerated, it's just the fact that we're now moving into it. It's always been there, we've always been owning it or manifesting it. It's just this is where we let go of thinking we know when, or expectation to outcome, or attachment to outcome. It's our little mind isn't really figuring any of this shit out. It's our heart that's leading us, and increasingly I just find myself surrender knowing, and no desire to be attached to thought form necessarily. A thought form is just a means of expressing and then this is like soul group awesomeness, is that one of you, we were just sharing, Aaron, about like really you know how people in Bible talk, they speak of like the word of God, and really, and this was coming from Aaron, like the word of God is just us speaking from our heart. It's not specific words, because there again we get into the mind, the small mind manipulative control tactic of I have to be right, therefore I'm going to use certain languages to be righter than you. And this is kind of something about the whole like a lot of the world of academia, or the world, like everybody's small mind is just like no 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 you see what I'm saying, like everybody's just sort of noise, hence hive mind. I was having a nice encounter with somebody about that, and like hive, that sound of the hive mind. I'm like, that really is where a lot of the mass human consciousness is, especially in metropolises, especially in large congregations of people, right? Oh, boom! Clear vibrations. Easter is really illuminating, so thank you. Which is now. It's this weekend, isn't it? It's Good Friday yesterday. The chatter, right? And then when I see, I can like, it's almost like I feel or sense the chatter, and then and again, it's a little bit kind of painful, because they're so disconnected. Their mind is just like, but they're like their physical body is actually just like exhausted, but they're still just going through all the motions. And but then this is where again it's gonna keep popping off for people. And so this is kind of like the heart love vibration of like soul groups. So there's the illumination. We've been doing all this inner work, and finally all our soul groups are coming together. And the way I'm feeling into this whole idea of soul groups is just how we resonate. It's just the fact that you guys, we all know, like there's some of us in these internet groups connecting who fully resonant, like sisters, like brothers, just like we know each other. And having actually met one of you specifically of like, what is up? Like we just know each other. There's just such a connection. There's such a resonance. And this to me has to do with the next wave of, I guess you could call us teachers, leaders, just we're just vibrating more love. And so we can shine that or share that love with humanity in integrity. And it looks a lot like the family, the nuclear family, or it does look like how we kind of want our family to look, but it feels more in love. It feels more like, yeah. And then Tree Hugger says family soul groups in the forest. And I'm like, well, I think a lot of us are being guided to land and or community so that we can actually come together in unity and create just a little bit more intentional living, because obviously when we're in group we're like, we are more powerful, we extend the love, we expand it, we can go deeper into certain aspects. And so it's like constellations. When you think of star systems, we are in our soul family sort of representative of constellations. So it's energetic. It's like pieces of an energy puzzle that when you put them all together, they make like a whole, um, well, constellation. But I'm thinking more of like an energetic blueprint, like a divine blueprint, clear, same. And that's, who would have thunk it? Like in my own personal experience over these last few years, here I am thinking like I'm just, oh no, like becoming more and more isolate, like, or, or just thinking, yeah, community, like wanting it and desiring it. And yet having these like I don't feel here. I don't feel I belong here. It doesn't res. And then as the empath going through that, no, like I should. It's the right thing to do. I must go and hang out with these people. And then eventually just being like, it ain't working for me. And then of course having these series of events unfolding where I had to, it's like, again, putting out the call of like, where are they? Where are the people who totally get it? And just one by one over these last few months, it's just been dropping in and you're all appearing. And I gotta say, the messages I get, holy wowzers, like some of the resonance, and then also just the beauty. Like here I am over here in England, living my little life, like paradigm shifter, just being like, does anyone else have left a push? And people in like small rural England are just been like, where are you from? Like I'm not normal here, and I'm not, hey Julie. And so yeah, and it's all good. It's all been for a great purpose, I believe, and so, and yesterday I was messaging a bunch of people and I suddenly felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was having the experience that a lot of my like high school friends had at university that I did not, because I had spiritual awakenings, which just like threw me off the deep end of life. And I spent most of my 20s, even in my early 30s, kind of looking back at that collective, whom are all extraordinarily stunning and wealthy and successful in the world. And I'm over the years coming off and on and off Facebook and stuff, because I'm like suicidal, broke, in a shitty, really not to put down the people I've ever engaged with, but me being a not relationship worthy, not in that place, but fumbling around through life, having all these grand plans and ideas and thinking, yeah, I'll prove them, I'll whatever, and just hitting these rock bottoms over and over again. And the point is that one, I have utmost love for like every human ever in my entire life, because let's be honest, we all shape each other, and that's the legit truth. And so I'm like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. But I'm finally free of having that like angle of envy, partly because you guys are all like, because there's finally this sense of community and like so like connectivity, which I knew these groups of people that I I guess you could say left behind or left, that even though I loved these people, I knew it was like something's not quite right. I gotta go find the paradigm shifters. I gotta find this new paradigm. And like obviously in my naive 20-year-old mind, I'm like, backpack, England ticket, off I go to Europe. And I'm gonna find, and people are just gonna be friendly and invite me into their house, and it's gonna be the new paradigm. 17 years later, oh hey YouTube. Um, but there is that, and so for a lot of us that have been in pretty deep spaces, and a lot of it has been obviously transformative, but isolated, like, and in fairness, it doesn't even matter how isolated or lonely our life looks, because I'm well aware that I've felt that sense of isolation throughout my life, in high school, in my in my 20s, traveling, dating, having, dating different people, and um ah, being there, like, it's like now I'm like reflect and like can see myself like looking at myself in those situations, like knowing a lot of this stuff, and like knowing I had to get out of these situations, but not again, having to sift through contrast and or face the material world, and but then totally go against it, because in a way, I think for a lot of us, intuitively, we've had those turning points in our lives. And I had an intuitive call back in my early 20s that I didn't listen to, which is how I ended up in the toxic patterns, which ended with brutal, yeah, I don't even want to say it out loud, because I'm just like, yeah, it ended in that kind of really brutal space. And then I was off to India, and saying, either like, I'm gonna die if I don't change, right? So um feeling that aloneness and denying it kept me in those toxic patterns. Me breaking free, one, started to clarify my beingness, because I was always like about 2 or 3 sizes larger from like puberty to, but I hated myself. I was in deep self-loathing patterns, binging and starving, and or lots of like alcohol and cocaine, and that kind of just typical, right? And it's from the yoga, the meditation, and not ultimately it came to a point of actually letting go of trying to control anything and just doing the inner work. So the last 7 years, I've just been consciously doing this inner work of self-responsibility and owning and transforming the density. And it took about 3 years, but kind of miraculously, the weight just shed off. And I'm aware, and actually, I'm sure Julie uh, even talked about this. I feel this is a lot of women, people, maybe, but you're brave and honest. You don't have to share it. Thank you. Yeah. 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 Because there's that energy densities that you got to work through to even get to that point. And then I'm aware of like, you guys showing up is also helping me. My ability to speak and translate and share this stuff is assisted by how you guys share with me and what you guys biofeedback to me. Hence, this share of like soul group, of like, somehow there's a resonant connection with a lot of you. There's like a familiarity. I'm like, have we met before? And then a couple of you have been like, have we met? I fucking know you. And there I'm like, I think that's because our souls have been doing this a little while. And it's like, again, we're energetic. It's like we embody certain energetic frequencies that, and it's like we knew we had to meet at this point. Julie, wait, I think, is a theme burdens being carried. Some people manifest those physically. Sure, sure, absolutely. In different distortions, in different ways, depending on our own souls, like what we need. And the body for me has always been like, I've always been very sensitive on my body. And so like carrying that extra weight was just it was like a fixed like hatred stew. And so when it started, after years and years of yoga, it started to break up. I went within, I started to study and research all this stuff and learn. And then it all kind of connected in. And as I started processing the emotion, of course, it's like I'm backtracking over all the different times in high school where I hated myself, all the times when I took on the kind of burden from my family or from my society about, I'm supposed to hate myself, by the way. Like that's a little bit of what society programs us. And yeah, weirdly, like literally, it felt like just in a moment, one day, suddenly, I just looked at myself and I was like, oh my God, I look different. I'm pretty much how I always dreamed I could look or would look. And I don't control my food. I eat whatever. It's just total freedom. And like, that was a bit of the piece of me sharing more and like being like, OMG, you guys, this shit works. You can actually transform it. Hence me then going, I'm gonna write the book about, I'm gonna like proper go for this. I'm gonna manifest the shit out of my life. Ooh. And then really, but then I had more, and that's where you get more of the ego lessons and more of the softening and more of the humility, because then I was like, oh yeah, I feel fantastic. I'm great. And then, but there were more cycles. And the truth is you have to keep it up. Because we can default back, and it's really easy in this world to kind of go back to believing other people's stuff. And so it's now been like, it's like taken another 3 years to then crystallize the like outpouring of this freedom state being. um but then also over the last 3 years, that's when all the unconscious programming around men started to really show itself, which was incredibly fun and painful. And of course, my projection of men being womanizers, men being players, liars, cheaters, all of that programming that I unconsciously embodied, that presented itself to me, which was super fun because I just kept, like a naive little fucking Disney princess, kept falling in love with these men who were like, hey, girl, hey, come along here. Hey, do this. And then I'd find out that they were doing it with lots of other women. And I was like, who? Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm like an aware person. And I just like, for a nice little like repetitive cycle, because we like to do these things to ourselves a few times to like fucking really learn the lesson. I did it. Eventually you move through all these energies, and then you come to center, and then one day, miraculously, just genuine, kind men that it feels exactly like it would with a bestie, straight up, like a bestie, girlfriend. Our male encounters really should be quite similar. We shouldn't have all these weird like control games and tactics around sexuality in our bodies to try to get a man or a woman to stay in our lives. I'm like, I'm abundant and infinitely flowing. I'm like, we just want all of our friends and lovers to be in that same sovereignty truth space, which now I'm finding, and I gotta say hello, because I've now even moved through cycles with these new relationships where I've had to face some uncomfortable conversations, or like, even for some people be like, it's not working, it's not da da da. And like, miraculously, these people are still my friends because they get the work. They get it. You guys get it. We get it. We get it. We get it. Like, this is so deep. And I sometimes see this like, it's like a whole frequency band, and then when we go into earth, we like split apart, and we're all pieces of a similar, um yeah, I just get kind of like constellation. Hi Daniel, hi Tree Hugger, Hajali, hi Norbert, how are you? Hi Bill, how are you? Same. um Clear vibrations. Ugh. Then I feel that, but I love, this is why community is so important. And like, the few besties that I've been pulling in these last few years to help me survive, and just to start to give me the feeling of it, was like, that when you're like all day every day, these cycles of like up and down and up and down, and like deep pain that and then like that, and then you cry and the waves move through you, and then suddenly you're like but this is what I was saying, Julie was saying this as well, about like, I'm finding these emotions that just come and go, and I'm moving through it, and I'm like, that's how it is though, because what's happened to me with the more presence and like ability to play. And even though I can honestly say, like, I've been pretty fucking hardcore depressed the last 4 months, but not in the way the 3D world would say. It was like this phase of deep, profound healing where I just finally said, fuck it all. Fuck the world. I don't care. I'm fucking tired and I need to sleep. So I've literally just spent the last 3.5 months like in bed, sleeping, restoring, loving myself, loving the F out of myself, just being like, whatever. This will shift. This too shall pass. And then yesterday, what I'm saying is like yesterday was the first day I finally felt it lifting. And I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, I do like living life. I do actually want to do stuff. And if we can just be present with even things like depression, we can move through it, you know? And often, okay, we can use certain things if we need to get through it. I don't have any judgment like that. Abby, maybe you have. We're infinite, right? Oh, Norbert, see? Norbert shares the heart love vibration. And this is, pardon me, this is really good for this community that from this union that divine masculines and feminines are shape shifting and really coming together. There's an integral shift whereby we're finally anchoring in and understanding what it is, understanding what it means. And I'm certainly aware of that. They're not necessarily romantic partners, but like I'm aware of this divine masculine energy appearing in my life and it's powerful. And again, it often brings me to tears because I'm just like because I'm aware that I've cleared it because now their manifestation is here and it's real and it's a harmonious exchange and I'm like finally men and women are meeting, you know, we're really coming together, which is all that reflection of more and more awakened conscious humans finding their counterparts in love, which might ebb and flow as well. But the beauty here now is that we don't have to like go back into the disconnection, right? Omega, lovely. Hi, Omega. How are you? Lori, hello. So I fly in my dreams a lot as well. And um, I have, I have a lot of like dreams of like even just like running, but like running really like light on my feet or like jumping up and down and being like, "Ooh," and then I'll often like wake up when I'm like midair, like, oh shit, how am I gonna get down? And then I'll wake up. Hi, gracious love. Hey, Norbert, what's ETR? It's weird because there's like these different techniques I'm aware of. Most, yeah, I have tried. So like EFT is like tapping and then it's not ETR. Oh, interesting. Mm-mm. Um, it's something called TRE, and it's like a shaking. There's a few people here locally who do it, and I think it sounds really cool. There again, I'm gonna have to noodle with it. Emotional trauma release. Yeah, no, Trey though. Oh, interesting. Well, and this is the exciting thing, and this is possibly part of the share that you've just given to me here, is the because I was asking Julie about star races and how we align energetically with the different star constellations, and as we do, increasingly, we are going to embody more of the kind of codes of those amplified awarenesses or gifts or abilities. So it's all within us and it's actually being activated by our own healed state. So we bring the modalities to the fore, but none of them are fixed. They'll shift and transform. So we're evolving these modalities. To me, I see the healing world moving very much into color and light and sound, vibrational healing basically, right? And then as a collective we move into greater harmonic resonance with our own energy, i.e. being in tune with our emotions fully so that we're not perpetually reacting and trying to fucking fight each other because we can't stand how we're feeling, right? Hi, Starseed. So So yeah, I think there's like kind of space for all of it. I worked with a healer for about a year and a half or 2 years, from 20, I think from 2013 to about, yeah, 2015, maybe early 2016. And it was like emotion code, and she had a whole bunch, maybe a bit of Reiki. And then I've done healing courses. So I've done a soul sovereignty healing course, which again is quite a unique modality. It's basically just tuning into light and then like attuning intuitions and allowing stuff to come through. And very like interesting and wild things have come through around stuff that people carry in their energy fields, right? Tupac shoulder-ish the other night. 259 Blue Crystal Storm is my galactic tribe. Interesting. Um, there's lots to noodle with. Cool, Norbert. Awesome. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, there's a lot of um this is the beauty, right? There's just increasing forms of alternative healing modalities. So, the one thing that I am aware of, and actually, I got a message from one of you about, Kelly messaged me about like, yeah, I don't really like resonate fully with past life because I've heard some healers say like you actually have to integrate like consciously you have to integrate every past life experience. Or now here's the thing, like anytime somebody starts preaching dogma around a technique, that's when I start to feel a bit like, ooh, ugh, I'm not sure about that, like because we're so unique and ultimately we are our own healer. We are the true healed state from within the self. And like, and in my awareness, basically, you can use your entire physical reality and all of your life experiences to be healed by owning and transforming the densities that you're facing and are hitting up against you. So our entire life force is actually the feedback resonance that we can use to heal the self. And often an issue with the kind of 3D paradigm construct is that we sort of seek the healing. I've done it. We all, I think that's maybe part of the spiritual awakening path, is that we realize we're in a funk. We endeavor to look around for things that can help us, especially if if modern medicine hasn't, if conventional psychiatry or uh, pharmaceutical medicine doesn't work for us, then we often bridge into the alternative and or the spiritual and or the energetic realms. And then I find even very more recently, especially after healing the emotional abuse patterns, it's like popping even out of the healing community or in of the spiritual community, because in my truth, we are all spiritual and we are all healed. It's only our attachment cords to the 3D program of separation that keeps us looped into these slightly shitty patterns, right? And there again, they're not necessarily shitty. It depends how much awareness we have of the convention and the why. Why are we doing it? When we know on a soul level why we're acting out doing certain things, then we become held and supported in trust and in faith, even when we're doing something that the collective might say is really bad for you, or that other people be like, oh my God, you ate that? That's disgusting. And you're like, okay. But for you, you're in your alignment. And so you're in your healed state. So there's no distortion, there's no conflict, right? Um, but let's be honest, a lot of the stuff is just fun. I never thought I would hear myself saying that. I'm like, sound healing, and like Julie does the singing bowls, and like I want to do higher study and higher learning. I really want to study astro stuff and tarot. So like I'm suddenly getting the like, oh, I really want to learn these new things to kind of add to it all. So all of us are being guided to these things that are just an aspect of our next level evolution, which are just us more in alignment with ourselves, which means we as the beingness embody the healed, the healed state, the oneness state, which means we just play and enjoy our lives in these bodies, and then When we're ready to go, off we go, exploring infinite space. Mm. Julie, for sure. I'm aware of that. So, like, and that's something I've felt very much in my yoga journey. It's that whether you're the healer or the yoga teacher, there's often the student authority dynamic. But for us in this new paradigm energy, it's just not like it's an exchange. And I've heard that from, and I too, when I'm teaching yoga, I'm often in this sort of trance flow. And I feel like like the same meditation teachers or relaxation teachers, or I have a good friend locally who's a gong, and she does the singing bowls. It's all sound therapy, isn't it? But I know for a fact that she, when she's doing it, is getting healing. Like she then will get in this like trance thing, and and yeah, she feels all like blissed out as well after doing it. And similarly, if I ever lead like a yoga nidra, I move through. I'm like, relax my face. My face is relaxing. And then, like, by the end, I'm just like, just chill. And I'm like mega, mega chilled with all these human, blessed light beings just lying there, finally letting themselves rest for a few moments. Although, in fairness, some are not. Although I find this less and less, which I know has something to do with like the anchoring within, but that's sometimes the hardest pose for people is the relaxation piece. I swear I'm trying to learn like 50 things. Oh, that's hilarious. I get that, right? I gotta say though, I'm really loving. I found a new girl on YouTube. I think I actually shared one of her videos on my YouTube community feed, but she calls herself an extreme minimalist. Just watching her videos makes me feel like calm and clean and centered. I'm like, fantastic. But she also gave me the idea of, she randomly in this one vlog says how she has celery juice every morning, and for some weird reason I happen to have a lot of celery in the house. I was like, boom, that's what I'm gonna do. But there's no way I would have like eaten all the celery. So I made celery juice, and it was just so divine. And I'm like, ooh, this is good. Because I don't even have a juicer. I made it with my Vitamix. So I basically just like blended with a bit of alkalinized water. I blended the whole thing of celery with water, and then I like sieved it. Is that the word? Sieved, to get all like the pulp out. And yeah, just like some nice, really light, fresh green juice. Celery juice is like a really nice summer drink. And then I'm thinking like, ooh, you could add like maybe some herbology to make it like even tastier, right? Ugh, no doubt about it, my friends. Well, here's the thing, Clear. It's like, this is my awareness. I'm like, yeah, but the more sensitized we like, how many of us are hearing, like, it's always there for me. Some in my awareness somewhere there is always like a um ringing. The pitch just changes depending on my environment and my state of consciousness, but there is always some tones. There's always some tones happening there. And then Clear, you're just making me think that this is why our being guided and our ability to move with that guidance is mega important, because where we are in the planet there's a piece there. It's like there's a reason I was guided specifically to Bali, Indonesia to do my spiritual work, i.e., to produce and write this book, to produce and create Spirituality Simplified. I'm guided to Bali, Indonesia, and I'm pretty sure um, Bali is another one of those kind of like sacred points, like protected sacred points on the planet, as is this southwest coast of England where I'm living. And so there's energetic vortexes, and I have a feeling. So Julie, of course, speaking telepathically, I want to go to the pyramids, and in fact, this could be something that we do in a little collective, because I have a feeling, my good friend and colleague Katie, she said that she like fainted or some kind of very bizarre. Now, before she met me, before this whole world opened up to her, but when she went to visit the pyramid or Egypt, she like fainted and had a proper like. And now having met me, she's like, oh, like I think I know why. Like I think I it's because of the energies, and so it could be that there's like a little small group of us that go there because there might be. Let's go to Bali on our way to the pyramids. Yes, please. And okay, so these are all little rockets that we're throwing out. I'm like, this could happen for us. Norbert, I'll be there in October. Hmm. Okay. I feel these quite powerful little rockets have been shot out, and now let's just let it go and see what comes in because this could actually happen. There could be a specific call. I also know, and I think for me, I'm just aware now after the shift I had last year, and after going through all this stuff, I'm just aware there's a lot of things that I know because I've been such a loner like all of my life. I'm now shifting where I'm like, I don't necessarily want to do a lot of this intense stuff anymore by myself. I don't want to have to go to these places and have all this stuff happen. It's so much nicer to do it like clear vibrations, right? With because you just got back from Kawi with this retreat, so you've now just finished and you know how powerful. But there's so much more beautiful kind of exchange and support when you're in community and in group, right? Um, so yeah, I am definitely feeling like Egypt is another place that we can go, and it might just be like a week or 5 days. Or I'm aware I'm closer to Egypt over here in the UK than some of you guys, but it'll be a good vortexual area. And I get okay. There's something about high priestess energy. There's something to do with our kind of empowered sexual sacred sexual activation energy was which is actually linked into our ability to manifest and embody the higher codes. There's exchanges, there's energetic downloads that we're going to get, and there might be also um, stuff we leave there, energetic pieces that we leave there um, to activate the charge of some of the pyramid structure as well. So we're unifying and bringing back some of the purity essences of our alignment, which takes us back to ancient Egypt, and it takes us back to the time of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Now, I'm saying this, and I really want to readdress that thing that Golden Heart said, is that not all of the stuff resonates with all of us. So I know quite a few actual star seeds that don't have many past life memory, and it doesn't connect with them. So if it doesn't, just drop it. This is a huge piece of all the spiritual awakening piece. Go to yourself, trust yourself. If it doesn't resonate, walk away. It'll come back if it's meant to, right? Norbert, are you in Australia, my friend? For some reason, Norbert, your photo, um, you feel Scandinavian to me. You feel like Nordic. But maybe that's just Nordic. I don't know, but you're Australian, aren't you? So yeah, okay, let's have an intention for yeah. Julie, okay, there could be some very powerful activation stuff. So let's just say let's go, and now it's now off in the ether, and it will come back around possibly at some point this year. So let's all keep an eye out for it. Um I think it's very manageable if we all go in on accommodation stuff or whatever, right? Got you, you guys. So I wanted to talk about that. I feel like there was one other thing that came in that I wanted to share, but now it's gone. Because I wanted to address the whole thing of like certain things won't always resonate with everybody, and all of it we can let go of in truth because we are the regenesis. So like once we really anchor in manifestation in as far as like I am all that I see, then we just get better and better at it. Hence, going back to the piece of what Julie was saying is like I'm moving through the energies. I'm having the reactions, moving through. Da, 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 da. I'm like, yeah, this is the like what am I saying? Like the continuation, the unfolding, the acceleration. That's what I mean. The acceleration. Hence the apparition of all of you guys in my reality of like, we're here. This is it. This is the paradigm shift. This is the new paradigm. We are now aligning and reflecting and really, really, but in a more amplified, up levely kind of way, more healed, more open, more light, right? Good night, clear vibrations, muchos love for you. And I just want to scroll up to Daniel's post as well. If you type a quiet place in me in YouTube, you will get 8 of my own songs. Oh, thank you. Yes, Daniel. What do I need to type in? A quiet place in me. Okay, cool. I'll have a look at that, Daniel. I'm getting my flat ready. I have Airbnb guests coming to stay, and I'm actually going this weekend down to Cornwall to do a ceremony as well as reconnecting with a really good friend of mine. So, wow, after like 3.5 months of like barely wanting to get out of bed, mostly, it's been like, and that's so not true, but like, you know what I mean? When we reflect and go, wow, that's been a really interesting few months. This goes back to something somebody mentioned earlier about the rises and falls and the ebbs and the flows, is that there is another reframe and or reversal of the world's thinking. We're not, for me, this is my interpretation of it, ascending to like escape this reality. We're actually descend. It's like we're bringing our soul essence into this world and through ourselves. So, and I actually, this is where I'm like, I might have to do another edit of this book because I'm having a bit of a shift around the idea of like high vibration and low vibration. And instead, I just think of it, okay, there's the density, which is just not as good feeling stuff. But the reason the idea of like high and low is a slight distortion is that um it's not about high or low. It's about the divinity. It's about the blueprint of the essence. This is and so, because this is why stuff like when I'm not like all like sunshine and happiness, people are like, "Whoa, what's wrong with you? Like, are you down?" And I'm like, "Ugh, no. I'm just in like because in my beingness, sometimes when I'm a little bit more serious or low, I don't feel like, oh, I'm so low vibration. For me, it's the difference of having an awareness of the fact that as our nature, we go like this. But my totality is always contained because I'm not in resistance to the downturns anymore. I.e., I allow myself, fuck it, I'm going to be depressed for 3 months and just sleep it off, yo. I burned myself out last year. I was fleeing from some abusive situations and I needed to fucking rescue myself. So I was running and running until I finally stopped. And I knew I had to stop. And it just took me 3 months to kind of get back my energy and my motivation to live. Not, you know, to be to move about again. And you guys have been a big part of that, like showing up. And hence ending one cycle, birthing into a new one. I'm like, oh my God, wicked. I finally found people that I can be myself with and who I feel a mutual exchange of appreciation, along with a desire to move into these more loving realms and shed and let go of any divisive tactic or power over or like those weird invisible like manipulation stuff that we're here endeavoring to really transform that. And that is just such a beautiful thing. So I don't, yeah, it's like, because we do like high vibration, but there's something, again, a bit kind of like off about it rather than be the self. Because the self, some days will be higher, some days will be lower. But ultimately, what we're transforming are densities in our cells, which to me is the karmic backlog, which is your personal karma, your natural god-given ancestry, just in the genetic coding of the beingness. Mm, yeah, and then just your present here now life of like social imprinting. So density are just frequencies and emotions and experiences that feel shit or make you feel hateful towards yourself. So if you can catch that in any given moment, you can sit with it, be present with it, and be like, oh no. And that's the expression from the Bible, like, devil, get thee behind me. Even yesterday, my mind wandered off into more of my past of like going over this situation where I felt betrayed and what was and like betrayed and denied and like brutally treated by a collective. And I'm going over the situation and I'm like, and then I caught it. I caught the thought form and I knew that that thought form was making this energy here just feel like tight and sick. And so I'm like, there it is. You have the power, MJ. Stop thinking about it and deal with this feeling that you're feeling, this conflict, this that we're all against each other, these whatever, and like deal with that and then let it go. And this is what I mean with the greater awareness and moving through these energies and just, not and having enough humility to move through them is a big part because I have to keep being like, "Oh, I'm doing it." Good night, Charlene. Ooh, nice. Enjoy your yoga class. I'm in Western Australia. I was born in Hungary. Okay, so there is a bit of a European piece. Julie, it's the hanging man card, the shift, the experiences themselves might look the same, but they feel different. Yeah, 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 yeah. And or the reversal of that. They might look completely different, but they might actually feel quite similar. And I get that a lot too. And I get both angles. Oh, you guys, beautiful. Thank you so much. I You guys are all off to sleep, and I'm like, I think that that will do us. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Nice light little chat. Looking forward to sharing as we approach the full moon energies. I feel like this illumination is really going to kind of continue, and I'm just so grateful and thankful because this soul group connection has really like lifted the entirety of it and given, for me anyway, given me a lot more faith and trust and like it's all happening. It's all done. It's all good. We got this. Totally. Totally got this, my lovers. And so have a beautiful evening. Most of you is going to sleep. I have so much love for you guys. Um and I'll speak to you really soon. Okay. I'll likely be back tomorrow, but I'm staying in another accommodation. So I might randomly be off, but we'll see. I'll definitely update you when I go down to Cornwall. Some excitement there. Thanks, you guys. Have an awesome day. Much love for you.